Look at this little rally we have been able to form over the last week. It has been a pretty good start to the new year, ladies and gents. I mean, the market's been horrible. We're in a bad situation overall, and that hasn't changed even with this bit of price action. But at least we're off to a good start, right? And we're actually off to a pretty decent start, I would say, because what I want to highlight for you is if we take a look at the high that we've been able to set just up to this point so far, looking at this even more zoomed in towards something like the 15-minute time frame, Bitcoin managed to top out right here at $17,400, which if we just set a line there and then zoom back out a little bit, we're able to see that this is higher than some of the other highs we've been able to set recently. Now, we haven't really set any sort of particularly substantially higher high, but what we have done is we've been able to clear the bulk of this area of resistance, right? I mean, this green box was going to be an area of resistance for Bitcoin, but or at least I expected it to be, but we didn't actually struggle at it very much, and Bitcoin has been able to rally right past this level. So I'm really interested in seeing where Bitcoin could go from here. I'm going to be breaking that down for you. If I think we're going to be able to continue to rally upwards, if we're going to be dropping down, this is going to be live analysis with you guys because I've been enjoying the break. I'm sure you guys have as well. Obviously, there hasn't been a whole lot going on in this market, but I think we're right back to it now. Things are picking up. Everyone's back trading, after all the holidays. So happy holidays and all that for those of you that were celebrating. Here's the thing. So we had this area of resistance right here, and it lined up with a lot of our horizontal rejections. We even had a little bit of support over here. We've now been able to basically reach this high that we set at the very beginning of December. But I think what's also important is that the most recent high that we had in this market was going to be around here towards the end of last year. And obviously we've now been able to pass that. Another good thing that we've done here is we haven't actually set any lower lows. If you take a look at the lows that we've got now, this quite clearly punches in a new higher low. Now it's not substantially higher, right? If you take a look at this low and this low, this is nice, right? This is a fairly big difference. The next two lows, they're quite close to each other, but it's clear if you look at my crosshair that we did manage to set a higher low on this occasion right here compared to the one right here. So we did set a higher low, and that's nice to see because now that we've managed to trend up a little bit higher, that basically confirms with this, it's basically turned into a midterm trend now, because I want to remind you, we've been in this range for about exactly 2 months. What's basically turned into a midterm range. We are showing the right signs within this kind of micro analysis, so to speak. Obviously this would be slightly more macro analysis if we zoom out, and that's exactly what we're going to do shortly. But what I also want to highlight to you is that none of this is going to be particularly impressive until and unless we actually punch in a significant macro higher high, or at least within this midterm trend. And so for me, that key level is going to be this high that we managed to set right here at $18,300, $18,400. This is going to be a very, very important level for Bitcoin to beat, in my opinion. And the absolutely phenomenal news that I have for you guys in today's video is that above this green line, I don't see any reason for Bitcoin to have a trouble rising up, to have any problems rising up. There isn't much liquidity in this range. It's one of the key things that you hear me talking about all the time if you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, which is that, there isn't really a whole lot in the market going on between price levels like this. And so generally, when you manage to break them, you'd expect the price to just kind of quickly rocket up. That's exactly what I said last time, and that's exactly what happened. We didn't quite get all the way up to where I thought we would get, but we got pretty damn close, and I don't think that that's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that, whereas previously it took the market, from this low up to basically the top of this resistance level, it took the market, 12 and a half days to only rise up by 4%, but then very quickly after that, we're able to rise up by 5.5% within just a day and a half, right? So basically moving, 10 times faster or something. I mean, just very, very fast comparatively, once we manage to break above that area of resistance. So I think that the same thing can happen to the market. Now, I think that if we're able to get above this resistance level, we shouldn't have a particularly hard time getting up to at least that prior high. And then it's up to the market to show us what we're going to do next. If we do manage to rise above this high, we do have resistance right up above. And that, I think, is going to be quite challenging for Bitcoin because this is a this is a challenging range. I mean, this is a range that Bitcoin was able to use as support. I want to remind you guys, for a very long time. We were actually engaging this support level pretty consistently for a 130-day, or in other words, roughly just over 4 months. We were able to use this area as support, and generally you're going to expect that if we do manage to rise back up to a level like that, it may end up forming a little bit of resistance, or in our case, I think potentially a lot of resistance. And so that is something that I'm going to be watching out for. And what we could end up doing if that does end up forming some sort of resistance is we could end up, seeing the market trade in, a pattern somewhat like this, where we trend down massively, we, kind of slowly fight that trend and then drop, rise a little bit higher, but eventually we drop the ball and then just continue to enter free fall again. So that is something which I think could certainly be problematic for Bitcoin, and that is something I'm going to be watching out for. At the same time, we do still have resistance on the daily time frame. I want to show you what this looks like on the daily Ichimoku cloud. It lines up perfectly with my key levels right here. We're actually just about to hit this area right now, and we have been more or less without any real pullbacks, trending up for 10 days straight if we include the first candle that I drew here. So, to be moving up for 10 days straight without any sort of a pullback, that does indicate to me that we could be ready for something where we drop a little bit lower. And if we do, I would be looking at capturing a little bit of support, perhaps in this range. And this range would be ideal, meaning no lower than $17,000. I wouldn't want to see us drop below 17. And there is a lot of support in this range. If we take a look at this, on a more zoomed in time frame, just looking at what's been happening over kind of the last 2 months, there is a lot that Bitcoin could benefit from in terms of all of these bits of price action right here. If we do manage to fail that, then we've got support all the way down basically to this green box, but I obviously don't want to see that we drop all the way down here, into the mid 16K range. It's a pretty tight range overall, right? I mean, to drop down there is only a minus $800 move. It's like 5%. It's really not that big, of a deal overall. But I think we've had a slow enough market that we don't need to get such deeply, painful corrections. Even though that wouldn't be particularly painful, I just don't think that it's necessary for the market to pull off something like that right now, given how slow everything has been. So perhaps, one of the other things that we could end up seeing, and I certainly think that this would be quite likely at this stage, is that we just kind of trade sideways, at this area right here before potentially continuing high. And that's only if the Ichimoku cloud stops us. Now, the bad news is that if it doesn't stop us, it's still, quite a big cloud right now. It does narrow out a little bit over here, basically, I don't know, about a week from now. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a narrower resistance range, and generally a narrower Ichimoku cloud will mean that we're going to face less resistance. So that is a good sign. I mean, we're not in a bad position overall, just all things considered. I mean, it could have been worse, and it was worse, and I don't think that it's as bad right now. So, what I'm seeing is basically these price levels here, these dates here, basically between these two red lines, this 2-week period is a window of opportunity for Bitcoin, and we're only about 4 days away from entering that window of opportunity, depending on how you look at it. You could even argue that we're just about 2 to 3 days away from it. It doesn't really matter with this such precise time-based calculation. The overall point is we're entering a good this is an opportunity for, like, if Bitcoin has an opportunity, which the bears would argue they don't, and I think that the bears would have a strong case to argue that, but if you do think that Bitcoin has an opportunity to rise up, and I do, because I'm not necessarily as bearish as everyone else is in the space, well, then we do have an opportunity to pull that off. Now, again, the bad news is that if we do, there is still a lot of resistance. This is still a big cloud, and the top of this Ichimoku cloud right here with this red line, which is typically quite a challenging zone for Bitcoin to break. The top line and the bottom line are generally going to be quite difficult for Bitcoin to break, right? Look, we basically got rejected at that line before as well. And actually, if we kind of just draw, how far away we were from the bottom of that cloud, we were only half a percentage point away when we got that rejection, which in my books counts as a real rejection, really, as far as I'm concerned. And we're basically there right now as well. So, I don't want us to be getting too excited too quickly. There is still a lot that could go wrong for Bitcoin here, but again, with this window of opportunity, I think it does, it may pay off to at least reel in that bear excitement just a little bit at a time like this. If we take a look at it with the daily time frame, we've actually already, just with today's candle, been able to break above our daily EMA resistance. And we did do that last time, but we didn't get a close that was substantially higher than the EMA ribbon. Today, if we manage to close around where we are or even slightly higher, we're going to be doing okay. We're still not substantially above that EMA ribbon. We're not even 1% above. And even if we draw it to the wick, we're only 1% above that ribbon. So, ideally I want to see us clearing this EMA ribbon with a little bit more headroom to really show me that this is a confirmed breakout out of, what has been previously quite a challenging bearish, bit of resistance for Bitcoin. If we're able to get above it, I think that would be a very strong sign, and that is definitely something that I would be watching out for as an analyst in this space. Before I carry on here, I actually want to take a look at what's been going on with the dollar and the S&P 500 as well. Like I said, this is live analysis. I haven't seen the charts yet, but here we are. This is actually making perfect sense. I actually drew this for you guys. If you take a look at this right here, I drew something very similar to what happened in one of my recent videos. So again, those of you that are subscribed and supporting these videos, hitting up the likes, thank you all so much. You're going to know that we were talking about something a little bit like this happening. Obviously, the move that I didn't take into account is that the dollar might make another spring up, but we've basically fallen down into that key level that I was looking at back then. And that is, I think, I wouldn't say it's particularly good news. It's certainly just what we expected anyway. The dollar has been in a downtrend. The downtrend has been slowing down. The dollar did mount another attack and it's failed, and we are continuing to set lower lows for the dollar right now. So, I think that could mean the dollar is kind of back in a little bit of a downtrend. That is obviously good for speculative markets, and I'm sure that we're going to see that being reflected with the S&P 500 as well. So yeah, S&P 500 up at 3,900. We'll take a look at that in just a minute, but I do want to continue to focus on the dollar just for the moment. Again, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you're going to know that I think this chart is immensely important. I was talking to you about how the dollar basically went parabolic, from, the summer of last year up until, towards the end of last year. And, some sort of a pullback would be very much required. I was calling for it when we were much higher, and that's just the nature of being an analyst. I mean, this wasn't a surprising call. I actually had it on point at the very, very top, where I was saying that the dollar is ready to top out. And those of you that were watching the YouTube channel back then, those of you that were inside of 𝗙𝗡𝗡𝐻𝐻𝐻 Gold and 𝗙𝗡𝗡𝐻𝐻𝐻 VIP with those links in the description, you're going to know all about this. We have now seen that pullback, and it's starting to look like it could be enough, in my opinion. I think it's actually worth throwing a Fibonacci retracement up on here just while we're on this chart. And so let's take a look at this. We've actually got the 0.5 Fibonacci level right basically in the middle of this green box, but the 618 level and the 382 levels are a little bit far away. So we've already failed the 382 level. We've got the 618 down here. I have heard a lot of people saying that the dollar could be falling down to, kind of this green line, actually dipping below the 100-point mark. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't want to make a judgment on that because I just don't know. But is it possible that the dollar can keep cutting lower? Absolutely. There's a good case to make for that. But is it possible that we are seeing potentially enough of a correction for the dollar, especially considering that it has been trending up since 2011, and now we have seen a bit of a correction within, what is actually quite a strong uptrend, and really, to be quite honest with you, quite a strong breakout for the dollar as well. Is it possible now that we are seeing, enough of a correction to where the dollar could, whether it's a little bit lower in this range like down here, or even just a little bit below the range itself, but just broadly speaking in terms of time, that we could be ready to rally upwards? And yeah, I think that the answer is potentially yeah. We are in a situation where the dollar has seen quite a pullback, and I mean, how much of a pullback do you really think we need if the dollar is going to continue to rise up? I'm not saying it will, but this is something to be paying attention to nonetheless, and that's why I'm highlighting it to you. I don't really have a conclusion to form there, and that's okay. I don't need to. It's completely fine to not be polarized in a particular direction if I don't feel like there's sufficient data for that. If we take a look at the S&P 500 here, we have managed to climb a little bit higher, but we haven't broken our area of resistance. I'd say that this area of resistance is going to be somewhat similar to the area of resistance that Bitcoin just beat out, which is a good thing because it means that Bitcoin is now, outperforming the S&P 500 in terms of its relative levels, and that's not set in stone. This isn't even particularly scientific analysis of any sort, but what I do like to see is that previously the S&P 500 was breaking out of levels where Bitcoin couldn't, and now it's the opposite way around, and so we're kind of back to where we want to be, where Bitcoin as a much smaller asset than an index like the S&P 500, Bitcoin is now performing a fair bit better potentially, and I do think that is a good sign, to show us that we could be ready to continue to see a little bit more of a sort of early spring, so to speak, within this winter season. And so if we are able, with the S&P 500 across this week, because this is a good start to the week, if we are able to see it continue to rise up, that would be very, very nice. Again, I'm going to be targeting this area of resistance, which I said to you previously could be challenging for the S&P 500. We got rejected there twice, no surprises. If we're able to get up there again, this would be our third attempt at the very same resistance level, and I don't think that this is a particularly strong resistance level. So I actually don't think that Bitcoin should struggle too much at that price area as well. I do think that if we do manage to rise up to here for a third test, that Bitcoin should be able to break it. I'm sorry, that the S&P 500 should be able to break it and then rise up to its next area of resistance, which will be around 4,300. And that's what I'm going to be watching out for quite cleanly. We are still far away from it. We're about 10% away. So it is perhaps too early to talk about that. But at the moment, we're showing the right signs and I'm happy with it. If we zoom in a little bit closer, it's not as good in my opinion. We're about to see this market close within the next 2 hours and probably just the next 1 hour or less, depending on when you watch this YouTube video. Again, just make sure you've got the bell icon checked because these are very, very time sensitive videos. So you want to make sure that you actually catch them when they're released. If we do zoom in and take a look at what has happened throughout the course of today, yes, we did gap higher. We started off quite well with this big gap. It's not a particularly substantial gap, but we did gap higher, and that's a good sign. But a lot of the gains that we produced today have already been erased, within the following hours. I'm still not particularly worried. We're higher than when we closed, and I think that's a good sign. And I don't want to zoom in too much and focus on, intraday trading, like this for an index like the S&P 500. I'm really not too worried about it. I don't think that it's the end of the world by any means. And we've done stuff like this a lot, where we, trade a little bit higher, pull back, and then, just continue higher. In fact, if anything, that could be a good thing. And so I like what I'm seeing right there as well. It really does spell some cool opportunities for Bitcoin right here, because if we are just on the cusp of something huge happening for Bitcoin, this could all get very, very exciting. And I want to take this as an opportunity to remind you guys that Bybit are running some really, really cool promos. You have missed the $30,000 offer that they were running, but they are still offering you guys up to $5,000 when you sign up using my link in the description down below. And that's going to be with, I think it's like the first link in the description, which you can check out. Prime XBT on top of that is going to be offering you $7,000. So here you go. Here's an interesting day because Prime XBT is offering you more than Bybit. The cool thing about Prime XBT is that on this platform, which you can trade with using Bitcoin, you don't even need to do KYC and all that stuff. You can trade the S&P 500. You can trade gold. You can trade silver, oil, and even Forex. So a good number of indices, basically all the major indices that you'd probably be interested in, and all the major commodities available for trading alongside crypto and Forex on one platform. This is a leverage trading platform, and it is obviously because they offer all of these extra markets, these traditional finance markets that we don't generally have access to. Prime XBT is very, very uniquely positioned, and it is a must-have for anybody that's interested in trading these markets in general because of the flexibility that it affords you. I think this is a great, great exchange to be on, and like I said, you're getting up to $7,000 when you sign up using my link in the description down below, based on how much you deposit. So it's a very, very simple scheme here with Prime XBT. Whatever you deposit onto Prime XBT, you're going to get 7% back as a deposit bonus, meaning if you deposit $10,000, you get 700 back, and that is, free money that you can trade with. So I know it might not sound like a crazy amount, but when you consider that $700 with 10 times leverage is already, a 7K trading pot, that's risk-free money. You can trade whatever the hell you like, and if you make money, it's yours to keep, and if you lose money, it was never your capital to begin with. So you don't, it's like trading a demo account, but you get to keep the money if you make profits, which is so fucking cool. Bybit, again, offering the same thing with that $5,000 deposit bonus as well. So that is very much well worth checking out. I do want to remind you guys about BitGet as well. Obviously, still a very, very cool exchange, and they are still offering you guys some cool stuff as well, with up to $8,000 in bonuses. And the cool thing about BitGet is they are available anywhere in the world, and that really does mean anywhere in the world, without a VPN even as well, for most places, and without KYC. So well worth checking that out. Moving back to the Bitcoin chart though, this is very, very interesting indeed. I think that now that we're mounting another attack, what I think is particularly significant about this particular attack for Bitcoin is that it's come after about a 3-week, break, so to speak, for Bitcoin. We haven't really done anything for a long time. And so to see that we're now mounting another attack is quite significant. That shows us that we've had the time to cool down. We've had the time for bears, if they're interested, to drive the price lower. We've had the time for bulls, if they're uninterested, to stop showing their interest in Bitcoin. But after that time apart, it's come back and it's ready to have another rally. Running in line with my horrible analogies that I like to give you guys on this YouTube channel, this is almost like you've got a couple that goes on a break and they really just decide they're going to break up because they're in a downtrend and it's really, really bad. And, they're like, shit, we need to end this. And they go on a break and they're like, you know what? Let's give it another shot. And that doesn't mean they're going to get back together, and it doesn't mean they're going to sail off into the sunset and it's going to be all happy and glory. But what it does mean is that there is an opportunity here. And I think that lines up really, really nicely with the analysis that I was giving you guys a little bit earlier about that Ichimoku cloud. That is a really good sign, in my opinion, because when we're getting a sign like this, where we haven't been able to mount an attack for a while, but now we finally are doing so. We've had a break. We're in a downtrend. We are showing the right signs, in my opinion. We've even got EMA support on the 4-hour time frame supporting that. Take a look at this. On the 4-hour time frame, pretty much ever since, I'd say, the 3rd of January, we've consistently been able to fall down into this range and capture support, which I think is a very, very strong sign for the market. Again, it doesn't particularly mean anything huge in and of itself, but overall, these are still good signs, and I am liking what I'm seeing. This, to me, could mean that if Bitcoin is able to, potentially trade sideways a little bit, we might see these EMA ribbons catch up in some sort of fashion like this. And if Bitcoin trades sideways and then drops down, this could end up forming some support for Bitcoin again to then rally higher. I'm just drawing this out for you so you can more easily visualize what I'm trying to describe to you guys. I like what I'm seeing, and I think that these are good signs as far as what Bitcoin could be producing for us right now. Again, the fact that we managed to beat EMA resistance on the 1-day time frame as well is a strong sign. The fact that we've got this, what I'm going to call window of opportunity, is a good sign. The facts still remain, though. We are still in a downtrend, right? We could even rise higher than this. We could even rise into this resistance area, and we would still be forming what is, I think quite typically going to be considered some form of a bearish rising channel that might look a little bit like this or a little bit like this, and it would still be quite bearish for the market. So I want you guys to bear that in mind, because if you're still macro bearish, this price action probably isn't going to change that. But if you're a little bit more optimistic and you think that, we have had a very, very long time of trending down, and, sentiment is just absolutely shot. It's incredibly low. Let's actually take a look at the sentiment readings right here. So if you're on the same kind of page that I'm on, second, let's just bring this up again, because for some reason it's not loaded up. Yeah, look at this, 25. We're at a reading of 25. Look at this flat line, guys, over the last month. I mean, exactly a month ago we were at 26, and now we're at 25. I mean, we really haven't moved very much, even on the 3-month, even on the 1 year. It's been flat. We haven't moved much. If you think that these are the kind of signs that could produce some sort of a spring for the market, where we potentially see some relief, especially considering that we haven't seen any relief whatsoever since, I would argue, at least since back here with this rally up, but probably even not even, I wouldn't really even count this, because it's not that big in terms of price action. I mean, yeah, it's a 46% move, and it happened across 70 days, but we didn't see anything like what we printed back in 2018, 2019, where we were still broadly speaking in a downtrend, but the price, quadrupled in this time. We went from $3,000 to $14,000. I mean, we did, we put quite an impressive move right there. I absolutely think that some sort of rally like that could be on the cards. Perhaps not that strong. Maybe we only double or triple. Maybe we don't even double. Maybe we just go up by 50%. But in any case, we haven't done any of that really. I mean, this leg right here only took us up by 43%, and I don't know. I just think that the market can pull off something better than that, and I've been saying that for a while, and I really think that because sentiment has been so low for so long, that it is time to be open to that. I mean, it is just far too fashionable, in my opinion. Even now, I mean, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you're going to know that my opinions on this haven't changed. It is just far too fashionable right now to be quite bearish on the markets, and you make of that what you will. But for me, I am trying to stay, somewhat objective, and just kind of reminding myself that if everybody is, pointing to the downside, especially the majority of traders, the retail, the 90%, then it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to disagree with them, but I am going to think twice, and then I'm going to think twice again, because it is the 90% of traders that lose money. And I've said this a million times. I'm going to say it again now, and I'm not gonna stop saying it either. I don't come on here behind the microphone on YouTube to sit here and fucking make friends and tell people that I want to agree with them. I don't come here looking for agreement. I don't come here expecting you to agree with me. I'm not here from that. I mean, if I find that I am broadly agreeing with everybody that I speak to about the markets, then to me, that is going to be a sign that I might be on the wrong side of things, and that's just how it is. That's what the numbers tell me I should be thinking. That's what the numbers tell me I should be thinking like, and that's how I have been thinking since, like the last 4 or 5 years that I've been a trader, and it has served me very, very well. If you want to be able to see how I'm trading these markets and get behind the scenes on everything that I'm doing, follow this link in the description down below. That's going to take you to my 𝗙𝗢𝗡𝐻 Telegram channel, where I give you even more analysis on these markets for myself and my team around the clock. That channel is completely free. It's going to look a little bit like this, where you get charts and information about what I'm seeing in the markets. Potentially even I do send in some trade setups that I'm taking. I do tell you what kind of trades I'm taking. The rest of them, though, all the exclusive content, including the exact trades I am going to be taking, will be reserved for VIP members, which you can join. You can join that VIP channel by clicking on my name at the bottom of any post, and then on the message icon right there to ask me how to join VIP. It is the group where I put in absolutely everything. It's all the most exclusive content I have, so go ahead and check that out. Most of you that do follow these steps on screen are going to be getting free access into my 𝗙𝗢𝗡𝐻 Academy course as well, and those are courses that I've made that literally cover the entire, everything I know about markets and analysis and trading from A to Z, and most of you will be getting that for free when you join 𝗙𝗢𝗡𝐻 VIP as well, so well worth checking that out. Really hope you have enjoyed this one. It's been a while since I've been on video. It's good to be back. I want to show you something. Take a look at this. I am using a new camera, as you can see, and I think it looks pretty cool. I'm actually really happy with how this camera has turned out. You can see the skyline behind me pretty nicely. You can even see down there. Whoa, this is hard. Down there, you can see the cars moving. Look. See that? That's pretty cool. So for all you guys that are saying this is a green screen, I know this doesn't prove that it's not a green screen, but yeah, it's just a running joke. If you don't know about it, it's because you probably haven't watched the live streams, but a lot of people tease me saying that I have a green screen, but I don't, and I've upgraded the camera, so I'm excited for that. So yeah, now you can see all of this glory in even higher definition right here. So there you go. I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do if you have. Hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, follow these steps on screen for VIP. Check out the link in the description down below for that $5,000 bonus on Bybit, that $7,000 bonus on Prime XBT with all of these amazing traditional finance markets. I am going to be trading these and sending those setups into VIP as well. And of course, BitGet as well, available to you guys with that $8,000 bonus, which is again going to be available anywhere in the world without a KYC and VPN, without a VPN and KYC, I should say. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed this. You know what to do if you have, and I'm out. Bye-bye.